Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, today is obviously the day that we've been working towards for more than a year. So we are already in our special coverage, and that will continue for the foreseeable future. So this call will be a little different because obviously our special actual election night coverage begins at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we don't know what the story will be today. And I think that's the key to today's message is the voters now will decide, and what story we tell is in their hands. With that, let me turn it over to David Chalian.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Election Day, everyone. As you said, it is in the voters' hands, and it has been actually for quite some time. We've crossed that 100 million early voter threshold, and nearly 3/4 of the total 2016 turnout. Again, that is just amazing to have that statistic of how many people voted as we actually arrive on Election Day, when tens of millions or more will show up. And as we've been talking about on this call, President Trump is dependent on today's turnout to be, as explosive as this early turnout has been in his path to 270 and his pursuit of re-election. It also, I thought, seemed pretty fitting, and I'm sure others will get into this more, but that on the last full day of this campaign, the news of that Birx memo and what Dr. Birx and the coronavirus task force sort of arguing for aggressive implementation of things that are just at complete odds with everything Donald Trump says in his campaign rallies in these closing days. It once again, I just thought perfectly encapsulated this being the coronavirus campaign in many ways. Remember, when those tens of millions of people go out today, they are doing so in the midst of this worsening pandemic. And so I just think that was quite fitting and tied together where we are in this moment in the country. As for the candidate activity today on Election Day, Joe Biden is in his boyhood hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania this morning, and then he heads to Philadelphia this afternoon. We'll see him pop up a bunch throughout the day before later this afternoon he returns home to Delaware. Kamala Harris, his running mate, is in Detroit, Michigan on this Election Day. And Jill Biden, the Democratic nominee's wife, is in Florida and North Carolina. And Doug Emhoff, Senator Harris's husband, is in Ohio. So all four principals of the Democratic ticket are fanned out across these battleground states, even in these final hours on Election Day. You saw President Trump return to the White House just a few hours ago, 3 o'clock this morning, and chatting on Fox and Friends. And you see that he is still very confident in victory, predicting he'll win more electoral votes than he did in 2016. His campaign aides continue to be confident, as do the Biden campaign aides, have a cautious optimism as they describe it. Trump and Pence are in D.C. today, and Pence has a whole slew of radio interviews and local TV interviews lined up. Trump burning up the phone lines today as well, no doubt. So I am sure, we'll be able to hear all of their closing final get out the vote pushes as people are actually heading to the polls today, those that haven't already voted. I do want to note that if you checked your email this morning, you saw an email from Adam Levy, all sort of Election Day resources. I would urge everyone to go to that email as your first stop, and it could be just sort of a one-stop shop kind of thing for everybody's coverage throughout the day today of what you need to know about Election Day. So check out that Adam Levy email that went out this morning. And Jeff, if I could just take just a moment here, because I know in the days ahead we will be crazed with, as you said, the story that the American people provide for us to cover today. The whole organization is worth thanking. Obviously, everyone is involved in this. I just want to cite a few people who have been the backbone of our political coverage for the better part of the last several years in this. And obviously, all our correspondents and producers on the road covering the candidates and the battlegrounds have been fantastic. But I do want to cite Jennifer Agesta, our director of polling and election analytics, is a one-woman operation that is unlike any other organization, and she carries us all on her back and has just done a tremendous, calm and even-handed job throughout this entire cycle, and I want to thank her. The research team of Adam Levy, Ethan Cohen, and Liz Stark has just day in and day out saved CNN from making mistakes on the air, in our town halls, in our debates. There's no one more thorough, more careful behind the scenes in supporting every piece of the CNN product, whether on TV or digital. They are an incredible team. David Wright in the political unit, as well, all that ad spending, all that tracking. These are the behind the scenes folks, and I just can't thank the team enough for how incredible they've been, all working with our incredible deputy political director, Terrence Burley. And then I just also want to note, there are 6 people at CNN who have been on this campaign trail now for 2 years. And those are our embeds, DJ Judd, Daniela Diaz, Sarah Muha, Jasmine Wright, Caroline Kenny, and Annie Greer, who have documented every single turn in this campaign, every word coming out of the mouths of the candidates from the very beginning of the nomination season, as soon as the midterms were over in 2018, into where we are now 2 years later, and their tireless work living on the road, figuring out how to do that then, of course, in the midst of a pandemic. I cannot thank them enough. They have done a tremendous job, and we are all grateful for it. So I just wanted to say that as we now are here at Election Day. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, David. Virginia, Washington.
Okay, so just to add a couple things just on the overall number of votes and what's going on out there. So there are 6 states now that have gone over the 2016 levels: Texas, Nevada, Arizona, Washington, Montana, and Hawaii, and 7 more that have seen at least 90%. So just those incredible numbers. Our reporting on what is expected to happen at the White House tonight: 400 people expected to attend. A source telling us that telling CNN that all the guests will be tested. And then Trump obviously did Fox and Friends this morning. No major highlights from that. He did say that he would only declare victory when there's a victory. If there's a victory, he again did his Supreme Court Pennsylvania decision that he would move forward with if there wasn't a decision on election night. And just to know, and that the anxiety obviously continuing into today. We see this fence getting increasingly bigger at the White House. The Metro MPD will be fully mobilized for the week, and the center will be fully activated on a 24-hour basis as long as needed. There are National Guard on standby. Similar situations in New York, LA, across the country as the nation on edge goes into this day. A couple just specific state things to note. This Harris County, even though they got a positive ruling out of the courts yesterday, they've opted to eliminate almost all of the drive-through voting just because they don't want to take the chance that people get confused and don't want to disenfranchise. So that is the state in Harris County. The Secretary of State this morning went after Trump's pretty incendiary remarks last night about potential fraud and suggestions of violence, saying it's completely inappropriate. Pennsylvania seems to be so far in pretty decent shape, but it's early. And I think that really is, we will keep everybody posted on, obviously there's sporadic, people saying this is not working and that's not working. It often doesn't turn out to pan out. So just give us a minute and we'll make sure this great voting team will make sure that everybody gets the correct information. And that's what I got.
Good. Thank you very much, Virginia. Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts on election day or election night that they want to raise? Okay, I agree with that because. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I know, as you're going to say, probably we just have to count the votes now and follow it as it happens. I just do want to note in the last debate, George Stephanopoulos. The last question was was about the speech you would make at inauguration, and Donald Trump kind of did an attack rally type speech, and Joe Biden talked about what he would be saying actually on Inauguration Day if he was the president-elect and thus sworn in as president that day if he's speaking. And just yesterday was kind of sort of a reflection of that. I feel like in terms of the closing, Biden was certainly attacking Trump earlier in the day, but yesterday in the closing moments, sort of where you had Trump in Michigan with lock her up for the governor of Michigan, and Biden last night with the sort of a hopeful word about the future. I just think it was a perfect button sort of to the way it was presented at the end of the last debate. And it's just something to think about as we talk about the tone of the day and how, as we're covering this, I do think tone still matters.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Jeff, as we go throughout today and tonight, there are going to be glitches. There are always glitches. There may be polling station glitches, power glitches, issues. That's normal. And there are always little things. Most of them are not material to the vote count or to the outcome. And so as we see glitches, everybody just needs to put them into perspective and make sure that we are not amplifying chaos that doesn't really exist. We're pretty good at this, but just a reminder that little idiosyncrasies in voting and counting happen every election, and they don't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with the system.
I think that's a really good reminder. Sam, as always, context is really important. Anybody else? Okay. As I said at the top, I really do think today is about letting Americans vote, preparing the audience for how this is going to unfold, how we're going to call the race, how we're going to report the results as they come in, what to watch for tonight. This is all about preparing the audience for what to watch for tonight. What are the paths to 270? What are the key first indicators? Preparing the audience and showing America voting. The one other story of note, obviously today, but even today will take a back seat in a significant way, is COVID. So for a quick update on that, Ben?
Good morning, Jeff. I will try and keep it brief today, but as we talked about on this call, this is the COVID election. No matter how many times the president says it, we are not rounding the corner. We are scaling a cliff of new cases, and on the other side of that cliff, unfortunately, will be many more deaths. So Monday is historically a lower than average day for reporting, and despite this, yesterday was the fourth highest single day of the pandemic yesterday. 84,000 new cases, 557 new deaths. We are approaching 9.3 million cases. We've confirmed more than 231,000 deaths. There are currently more than 48,000 people across the U.S. right now hospitalized with COVID, 12 states setting hospitalization records yesterday. The CDC has said that Americans who are sick, isolated, or quarantined can and should still get out and vote. When possible, the CDC says there should be alternative voting options which minimize contact between the voters and the poll workers. The CDC also offered steps for protection, the same thing we've all been hearing about all along: wear a mask, stay 6 feet away from other people, wash your hands, and use hand sanitizer before and after voting. And we'll also note here, we have made it to Election Day, and despite what the president has said and making the promise over and over again, there is no vaccine that has been approved or has received an EUA from the FDA before Election Day, and now we can definitively say that. A couple key regions and data points very quickly. Florida is the number 4 state in new cases as of yesterday, the number 2 state in new deaths as of Monday, and in Michigan, they are the number 1 state in new cases as of yesterday. A couple other things to note very quickly. Texas is now the number 1 state for cases, more than any other state in the nation, more than California and New York. 5 states reporting their highest single day of new cases, and 21 states at their peak 7-day averages. And just another reminder, as I said yesterday, that all the political reporters all across the country can handle these COVID lines from the trail. One other thing to note here is that the American Academy of Pediatrics reported yesterday the largest single increase in cases among children last week since the pandemic began. Kids are often asymptomatic, as we know, and they are tested much less. So there's certainly even more kids out there than we know about. There is no wrap package today, but Nick Watt is available from LA on headlines later today on Merit. Diana Goldriga is available from New York, from New York on education threads. And just one health headline to mention today is that new cases of COVID are increasing in nursing homes. More than 40% of them are in the Midwest. We obviously know nursing home residents are older. They have more chronic conditions. And a note, as you have said many times on this call, for everyone to remember, compared to someone in their 20s, someone who's 85 and up is 13 times more likely to be hospitalized and 630 times more likely to die. Sanjay and Elizabeth both available from Atlanta today, and I will stop there.
Right. Okay. Anybody have anything they want to add on COVID? Okay. Given that our focus today is entirely on Election Day, we're gonna not have the international and business reports today. So again, before I turn it over for a quick report from digital, is there anything that anybody wants to add?
Hey, Jeff, I'm here from Spanish. I'm sorry, real quick, just a reminder, we have elections in Puerto Rico, gubernatorial elections. This will be the elections after last summer's resignation of Ricky Rosselló. Just FYI, we have content coming in all month.
Thank you. Anybody else?
2 things. One is we've said it in weeks and months past that the man elected president today will be the oldest person ever elected president in our 200-year plus history. And it might be something we note. As we do on every election day, we ask every CNN colleague and certainly every supervisor to remind every team member that everything that we report flows from the approved, vetted news reporting that we have that flows through the political desk. And no one should be tweeting out anything that doesn't come from original CNN reporting. Jeff, I would appreciate if you would emphasize that as you have in a couple of the WebEx meetings that we've had with others so that everybody understands how important it is, please.
Yeah, I'll get to that at the end for sure. Thank you, Rick. Anybody else?
Hey, Jeff, it's Cynthia. I just wanted to just remind you all that we will be out of the Atlanta studios, and if there are a couple of good movements with some of the counties where, in North Carolina particularly, or Maricopa County in Arizona, or Yuma, a couple of counties that could be the difference makers because of Latinos in those particular markets where Latinos finally made a difference in North Carolina or Arizona, and helped in changing the voting patterns. Even in Georgia, we will have a couple of very interesting people working with Juan Carlos if you needed that extra color for your commentary, and just to keep CNN Español in mind for that particular angle if you needed it.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Jeff, in my list of thanks, I, of course, neglected the other superheroes, which are the political desk. Nothing would be covered without them moving everybody around the country for the last 2 years. Leslie Benz, Elizabeth Hartfield, Deanna Hackney, Keith Allen, Chris Boyette, Richard Rose, Julie Gallagher and Aaron Pellish, nothing would be covered without these folks. And it is a gazillion moving parts throughout the last 2 years. So I wanted to add them to my thanks. And then I just wanted to say, to your point about letting voters vote, I mean, we can lean into the poetry of the day. It is such an amazing exercise to see a country as large as ours every 4 years sort of figure itself out and decide who they are as a people, how we sort ourselves, and point a path forward. And it is such a remarkable thing, and I just don't think we should be at all afraid of that, to lean into that.
Couldn't agree more. Any other thoughts? Okay, let's get a quick update from digital, please.
Hey, quickly, 36 million uniques yesterday. That is a signal that audiences are with us in the pregame. The top story was Collinson on Trump attempting to undermine democracy in the final stretch. The top video was John King at the wall on the 6 states. This morning, number one, it's the election BLE. We're going to be vibrant and on it in this BLE. It has 37,000 concurrents already. Around 4 p.m., just so everyone knows, that will transform into a DLE that is focused only on the presidential race, and then we will launch another DLE for the down ballot races. So we will have 2 DLEs, 2 paths to stay on top of everything. Number 2 right now this morning is the Road to 270 map. It is at 20,000 concurrents. People are still on it. Then it's Dixville Notch, which every single election cycle, audiences are here for the Dixville Notch story, and Biden's sweep last night. Our 5 Things newsletter is in the top 5 this morning. It is so good. Read it if you haven't. It has very practical news you can use at the top of it. A Viewer's Guide to Election Night from Eric Bradner, very simple, very straight up, is in the top 5. And our Voting Main Bar from Jeremy Herb and Frederica Scouten, with officials bracing for lines and lawsuits, rounds out the top 5. The top video this morning is Anderson with the panel last night on Trump's Pennsylvania voting comments. Just so everyone knows, we opened up CNN Go at 9 a.m., so we are wide open and unauthenticated now until 4 p.m. tomorrow. You can get CNN, no barrier, no wall, on basically any screen that exists, so that's just terrific. And around 4 p.m. today, just so everyone knows, our home pages will shift with some of the maps and the data modules going live. They will be unpopulated, of course, at 4 p.m., but it'll be a visual signal to audiences that we are the place to be. That's it.
Thank you very much, Meredith. Okay, we're not going to run through Dayside and Washington today because we have a very special schedule in place that obviously you already see on the air with Anderson on this morning, and then Don and Aaron joining us, and before the election team takes over at 4 p.m. today. As I said, we will be live from here until sometime this weekend. So we'll see how long we need to be live. I have a couple comments to make here at the end, but before we get to that, does anybody have anything else they want to raise? Okay, again then, we're in special lineup coverage today and tomorrow. The election team will be on the air beginning at 4 p.m. today and currently scheduled to be on the air all the way till 2 a.m., at which time Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon will take over. But as I've noted in many conversations, this is a fluid story, and so exact schedules to be determined depending on where we are in the storyline. I want to reiterate what Rick Davis raised with everybody, which is that I want to remind everybody about social media and what we need from everybody at CNN. Please be extremely careful with social media today and this week. Please do not tweet results, even CNN's results. Only retweet CNN accounts with results, because we cannot afford anyone to make a mistake. Please do not tweet news from other organizations, no matter how credible they are or how much you like them, please do not tweet news from other organizations. Please refrain from commenting about Election Day or results on any of your social media platforms. We are under a tremendous microscope today, and I want to ask everybody's help, especially on the social media side. We are under that tremendous microscope, so we do need to continue to play as we have, error-free ball. More people are going to learn about this election from CNN's platforms, television and digital, than any other news or information organization in the world. And we have a tremendous responsibility here to make sure that we get it right. We're not going to get every single, there will be little mistakes, I am sure. When you're on live television and publishing as much as we do, things happen. We need to try to minimize that and play as error-free ball as we can. Social media is a huge part of that. And so I would really want to ask everybody for their help on that front. Let me just wrap it up by really reiterating what David Chalian said. We've got a long way to go. There's a lot still to be done today and tonight and tomorrow and in the days ahead. But I do want to say it has been an extraordinary team effort that has encompassed every aspect of CNN. David noted the entire political team and obviously the embeds who have been extraordinary and the correspondents and reporters and everything. But I also want to note that none of this happens without the photojournalists and the editors and the engineers and our directors, our folks in advertising clearance and sales and standards and practices, and in graphics and in new media, and our entire digital team. And I don't mean to leave anybody out. Our communications team, our PR team, our HR team, our legal team. We don't get to today and we don't get through tonight without every single person on this team. I've done a lot of elections and a lot of election nights. I'm beyond proud. I'm so proud of everybody on this team and what CNN has done. I want to thank you. I want to ask everybody to pace themselves. We've got a long day to get ahead and a long night ahead, and we don't know where this story will go. As David noted, let's let the voters take us to the story. Let's not prejudge the story. Let's not predict the story. The story will unfold. As David said, democracy is a beautiful thing. Today is a great day in America to let it unfold. Let's see how it unfolds, and let's let the story dictate where we go. Thank you to everybody. Thanks for all of your professionalism. Pace yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your colleagues. Stay safe. And thanks for everything. Have a great day. Bye-bye.